The rain fell like knives as he zipped through narrow alleys, one earbud dangling, backpack thumping with each step. He was late again, potholes splashed water against his worn shoes. That's when it happened. A crack split the air. A masked man pulled the trigger. The bullet wasn't meant for him, but it found him anyway, or almost did. He turned just a breath too early and the bullet grazed his ear. Time broke, everything slowed, everyone froze, everyone except him. He blinked and moved, faster than thought. His legs carried him without command. His heart didn't pound. His body didn't panic, it flowed, like he'd done this before. But as sirens neared and the shooter vanished, so did he into shadow. Not knowing this was no accident, he had been chosen. Before the bullet rewrote his story, he lived in shadows literally. A cold, cramped basement, flickering lights, and a fridge that buzzed louder than it cooled. His mother lay still in bed, silent from years of factory labor and sacrifice. She hadn't spoken in months. Her eyes said everything and he listened. School, a battlefield, bullies shoved him into lockers. Teachers looked through him like glass. Lunch was a crust of bread. Maybe he never asked for more. But late at night, when the world went quiet, he'd fix broken radios, repair fans, and bury himself in dusty martial arts books. That was his world. Quiet, brutal, lonely. No one noticed the weight he carried, not even him. But after that bullet kissed his ear and didn't kill him, something inside cracked open. He didn't know it yet, but that was the last night he'd ever be powerless. The morning after the bullet grazed his ear, everything felt off. Not wrong, just different. A fly buzzed straight for his face. He didn't blink. His hand shot up, snatched at midair. Clean, fast, no effort. He froze. What just happened? Later, a cup slipped off the edge of the counter. His back was turned. But before it hit the floor, his hand reached out behind him and caught it. He hadn't even turned his head. His mind racing, his heart steady to steady like calm. Before a storm, this wasn't magic. It didn't feel fake. It felt like a switch had flipped. Like a skill earned, awakened, so he ran a test. He blindfolded himself and sprinted across a busy intersection. Cars swerved, horns blared, but not a single touch, not even a breeze. His feet landed exactly where they needed to, every time. He called it flow, a rhythm only he could feel. A dance his body knew before his brain did, but he didn't smile, didn't laugh. He stared at his hands like they weren't his. Why me? He muttered. He searched for the alley shooting. Online nothing, no headlines. No footage, no trace. That alley never happened. But it did, and someone else might have walked away too. The rain had stopped, but the alley still haunted him. He needed proof, something real. So he went to a rundown security shop tucked behind a shuttered pawn store. The old man at the counter didn't ask questions, just grunted and handed over a pile of dusty tapes. Hours passed. Most were useless, glitchy, static, nothing but flickering shadows. Then one tape lit up. There it was. The alley, the flash, the shooter, and the mask clear as daylight. A black faceplate, smooth as glass with one mark that made his blood run cold. A red serpent curled along the right cheek. It wasn't just a mask, it was a signature. He searched that symbol. It wasn't on the news, not in forums, but buried deep in an old crime file. It matched one name, the Spiral. A ghost syndicate, no digital trail, no survivors. Known for silent kills and hidden messages, so why was he still breathing? That mark wasn't random. Was he caught in the crossfire? Or was he the target all along? As the screen buzzed with static, one thought wouldn't leave him. They didn't miss. They marked him. He didn't wait for answers. He built himself in silence. Every night after work, after feeding his mother, after pretending life was still normal, he vanished into the city's spine. No gym, no fancy gloves. Just rooftops, rusted pipes, and bruised bones. He sprinted rooftop to rooftop until his Solister open slipped, fell, got up, again. Pain wasn't his enemy, it was his teacher. He spent hours studying old martial arts tapes borrowed from the public library, paused, rewound, imitated every stance. Every strike. At dawn, he shadowboxed in underground parking lots. At dusk, he studied street brawls like a classroom. And sometimes he stepped in, no name, no style, just speed and focus. The first time, they laughed at him, skinny, quiet. Rookie, but then he moved. Swift, clean, silent, they hit air. He hit nerves. By the third fight, the laughter died. By the fifth, people cleared a path. He wasn't fighting to win. He was learning what pain teaches you when you don't run from it. But that night, after his seventh fight, someone in the crowd didn't cheer, didn't blink. A man in a gray coat followed him home. And he never made a sound. He didn't see the man until the grip locked around his collar. A raspy voice growled, "You got spiral eyes. You dodge like you've seen death." It was the man in the gray coat, the one who followed him. An ex-cop, disgraced, fired for blowing the whistle on dirty brass, now a ghost hiding in the city's cracks. His face was lined, his jaw tight, and across his cheek a long scar like a question mark. That night, without permission, without names exchanged, training began. No warm-ups, no speeches, just pain, again, faster, to slow your dead. Every move hurt, every mistake earned a bruise. But every lesson hit deeper. Then the strike. The man taught him how to disappear in daylight, how to break a joint with 2 fingers, how to read a threat before it even moved. And each night, the boy left with lungs burning and knuckles raw. He never heard "good job," only "try again." But he kept coming back, not for praise but purpose. He learned the city had been sold piece by piece to the spiral, and his new teacher, he had once tried to stop it. But one night, mid-drill, the old man stumbled. He coughed, and blood hit the concrete. Some men teach with books. His mentor taught with bruises, but now the bruises stopped. He lay weak, coughing into his hand and red stained his palm. The poison had been slow, eating him from the inside, a gift. From the spiral, the same people he once tried to expose. The boy sat beside him, fists clenched. "You knew you were dying?" The old man chuckled bitterly. "Dead men don't train. But I did. I couldn't stop them, but you might." His final days became a blur of pain and drills. No pity, just faster strikes, cleaner escapes, harder truths. When the last breath came, it was quiet. No speech, no music, just silence. The boy dug the grave alone, beneath an alley garden where wildflowers grew between trash piles. He left, one flower on the mound, then stood up, eyes burning. He wasn't special, not chosen, but he had something now, rage with direction. He swore one thing: he'd burn the spiral to the ground. And that night, that very same night, near the docks, under the flickering street lamp, a red serpent symbol freshly sprayed glowed on the wall. He didn't smile, he just walked toward it. The docks were dead silent, like the world was holding its breath. Fog clung to the air, thick and cold. He moved like a shadow, hugging walls, dodging light, eyes scanning every corner. Then he found it, a warehouse door cracked, humming. Low, inside were crates, not ordinary ones. Black steel boxes with no markings. But he knew, spiral property, weapons, lots of them. Enough to arm a war. Then boots echoed. 3 masked men stepped in, serpent symbols on their cheeks. No words, no mercy. He dropped from the rafters like a hawk. One punch to the jock rack. A spinning kick thud, elbow to the ribs collapse. They never touched him. Only one was left breathing. Coughing, wheezing, he pulled the mask off. The man whispered, "You don't know what you just started." But the boy didn't flinch. He walked away, calm, focused. What he didn't see was the blinking red light above, a camera, hidden, recording everything. And somewhere far away, someone was watching and smiling. The footage hit the net like a spark to gasoline. One hooded figure, 3 gangsters, gone in 10 seconds. No face, no sound, just pure motion, fast, brutal, clean. The world blinked and he was gone. That's what they called him now, the blink. The media laughed. Urban legend, they claimed. The cops shrugged, no comment. But the spiral, they weren't laughing. They issued a bounty, cold, clear, and deadly. Anyone who could bring the blink down would earn a fortune. Meanwhile, across the city, it began. Kids with bruised knuckles and broken homes started wearing bandanas over their faces. Spray-painted serpents were crossed out with red X's. The people didn't cheer. They fought back. He wasn't trying to be a hero. But rebellion doesn't ask for permission, and far from the noise, someone watched. The video again, zoomed in, paused, smirked. "I know that move," the man muttered. The spiral didn't just want revenge now. They sent someone who used to know him. Someone dangerous, and this time it was personal. She moved like smoke, soft steps, no sound. But when she struck, it felt like thunder crashing down. The spiral sent her a bounty hunter, sharp, ruthless, and once his best friend. Back then, they shared dreams of freedom, of escape, of getting out before the city swallowed them whole. But tonight she hunted him. They met on a rooftop, high above the world, wind screaming past steel rails. She leapt first, he followed, her blade touched his throat. No rage, just a whisper, there, watching everything, even this, and then she was gone. Smoke again. But she left something behind, a slip of paper, 5 words. Meet me where we buried the compass. The past wasn't dead, it was calling him back. The train yard groaned with age, asterisk. Steel rails curled like old scars, and wind whispered through shattered windows. That's where he found her standing still beneath a rusted overpass, hands in her coat, eyes sharp but tired. I didn't come to fight, she said, voice barely. Above the wind, spirals everywhere now. Even inside the cops, he didn't move, didn't blink, just watched her like she might vanish again. I joined them to stay alive, she added. But now I want out, her voice cracked. Not from fear, from guilt. He stepped closer. Why now? She pulled a folded paper from her jacket. Because you have power and I have secrets. The paper listed names, targets, officers, judges, dealers, all under Spiral's grip. But one name stopped his breath cold. His school principal. She saw his face change. Told you, she whispered. They're everywhere. He still didn't trust her. Not fully. How could he? The girl who once ran beside him now carried spiral ink beneath her skin. But he needed what she knew, and she needed someone who hadn't given up yet. So they shook hands, no smiles, no warmth. Just a silent pact made on hollow ground. 2 broken kids, 1 broken city. A war was coming, and now, he wasn't fighting alone, but he knew the line between ally and traitor was thin. Real thin, and that name on the list, it wasn't just a shock, it was personal. By day, he looked like any other student, head down, tie crooked, blending in with the noise of morning roll call. But inside, his mind raced, because now, he knew, the principal, the man who gave cheesy speeches about honesty, he was deep. In Spiral, dirty money flowing through student events, fake invoices, missing reports, it all pointed to him. So that night, he broke in, past the janitor's room, past the locked records, into the principal's office. Files were missing, but one drawer wasn't locked. Inside, a flash drive, a ledger, and then he froze. A photo. 2 men shoulder to shoulder, smiling like old friends. One was the principal, the other? The masked shooter from the South Pier, the one who nearly killed him. His blood went cold. Click. Behind him, the office door creaked. But it was empty. He pocketed the drive and slipped back into the dark. The next morning, the bell rang as usual, but when he walked through the school gates, 3 officers were already waiting. One held a clipboard, the other rested a hand on his holster. Can we have a word with you? His classmates stared, whispers rose. He kept walking slow and steady, because now, he wasn't just fighting Spiral in back alleys, he was fighting them in plain sight. He sat in the principal's office like a regular kid, quiet, polite, harmless. The cops asked questions, threw out accusations, even dangled threats. But he said nothing, no proof, no confession, just blank stares and calm breathing. So they let him go, but not really. Outside, unmarked cars trailed his steps. Drones buzzed like mosquitoes overhead. Even mirrors in shop windows watched him. They were everywhere. He had to vanish again. He took side alleys, switched jackets and crowds, studied every reflection, learned the rhythm of patrols. The pressure tightened like a noose. He had to move, had to hit back fast. His phone buzzed. It was her voice. They know your face now. You've got 48 hours. Or it's over. He didn't just hit them, he burned them. At midnight, he dropped the files, every corrupt deal, dirty name, secret account. All of it hit the web like a match to gasoline. Spiral's grip shattered overnight. Newsfeeds exploded, whispers became roars. But freedom always has a price. His safe house, gone, nothing but ash. His alias exposed, cameras on every block. Now the whole city knew his name and they weren't cheering. He wasn't the blink anymore. He was a threat, a target, public enemy number 1. Then came the sound of boots, heavy, unhurried. A shadow stepped into view. No mask, no smile, just eyes like steel. Spiral's top enforcer had arrived. He came like a ghost tall, silent, eyes like knives. The enforcer, Spiral's final warning. If he showed up, it meant you were already dead. The boy stood alone on the edge of a half-built tower when slicing past steel beams. The enforcer didn't say a word. He just moved fast. A punch slammed into the boy's ribs, lifting him off the ground. Another strike and the floor cracked beneath him. He fought back, elbows, kicks, counter blows. Everything he had, but it wasn't enough. The enforcer didn't flinch, didn't bleed, just kept coming. Then smoke exploded across the scaffolding. From the shadows, she appeared quick, precise, ruthless. Move, she shouted, tossing a pipe. The boy ducked, kicked, and together, they made chaos. Steel bars collapsed. Sparks flew. And for once, the enforcer paused. They ran. Barely alive, barely breathing, but free for now. Behind them, the enforcer stood still, silent in the smoke. Then he turned and dropped something to the ground. A black key, cold as death. Etched with a symbol no one recognized. The key clicked into a rusted panel deep inside an abandoned subway tunnel hidden beneath layers of dust, shadows, and silence. A vault door groaned open. Inside. Spiral secrets. Stacks of files, weapons, blueprints, everything they tried to hide. And right in the center, plans for City Hall. They're not chasing money, the girl said, voice trembling. They're after control, total control. He moved fast. Snap photos, recorded video, names, bank logs, maps. He sent it all, every last file blasted out to every honest cop still breathing, and every reporter who hadn't sold their soul. Then he doused the vault in fuel. One spark. Flames roared through the underground like a beast set free. The evidence gone, but the truth was already out. He and the girl ran, smoke licking their heels, hearts pounding. Above ground, chaos erupted. News stations scrambled. Phones rang nonstop, and then every screen froze. A live broadcast took over the airwaves. A hooded figure appeared, calm, cold. I am the one they fear, the voice said, deep and steady. And now, I want everyone watching to listen very closely. The spiral wasn't done. It was just beginning. The city froze. Every screen lit up with the same face, a calm man in a black suit. No mask, no fear. His voice rolled like thunder through living rooms, phones, classrooms. I am the face of Spiral, he said. We don't want war, we want peace. Turn in the blink, and this ends. It sounded like an offer, but it was a threat. The city twisted overnight. Whispers turned into side eyes turned into fingers pointing. Even some of his closest allies looked unsure. That jacket. The one they'd seen him wear. Found. Inside a raided hideout. Folded, burnt at the edge. But unmistakably his. Trust, that's what hurt the most. She stood in the alley, soaked in rain, tears mixed with guilt. They'll kill him if I don't, she whispered. He stepped closer. Who? Before she could answer, the darts flew. 2 in the neck, 1 in the leg. His knees buckled. His vision blurred, then darkness. He woke up in a cold metal room. Chains around his wrists, no windows, just silence. And betrayal echoing in his chest. He replayed everything, her shaking voice, her eyes avoiding his. She wasn't lying, but she wasn't with him either. Still, he didn't hate her. He understood. This wasn't her plan. It was Spiral's. They used fear, family, and people. Like her, but they forgot one thing. He never stopped planning. His hands trembled. Not from fear, but from focus. And in his palm, a loose screw, a tiny, perfect weapon. He looked up at the security camera and smiled. A smirk that said one thing, game on. The metal cuff clicked loose, one screw on chance. He moved like a whisper, sliding through shadows. A guard turned, too late, a sharp twist, a silent fall. He didn't stop, down to halls, past blinking red lights, then there, behind a locked gate, her brother. Weak, but breathing, he smiled. Let's go. But not before carving 3 words into the stone wall. Your time's up. Back above ground, he hacked into Spiral's signal. Every screen in the city lit up. With truth, corruption, deals, names, the Spiral's secrets exploded like fire. City Hall was stormed, uniforms everywhere. Sirens howling and Spiral gone, like rats from smoke. But one place still stood untouched. The tower, one tower, 40 floors, every step war. He moved like smoke, quiet, fast, relentless. Each floor held monsters in suits, but his fists faster, smarter, blood on the walls, bruises on his knuckles. But he didn't stop. 40th floor, final door. It slid open with a hiss. And there he was, the leader, calm, smiling. You weren't supposed to survive, he said, but here you are. They clashed, steel blades screamed, desks shattered, glass rained. But the boy, he wasn't a boy anymore. He was every scar, every lie, every broken promise. And with one last punch crack it ended. Silence. He stood on the roof, wine in his face. No cameras, no medals, just a city, finally breathing free.